Good morning, everybody. If I could ask you to take your seats, we'll get started. All right, I'm calling to order the Solid Waste Authority Board meeting for February 9th, 2022. And with that, roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Weiss,
Here?
Commissioner Sacks, Commissioner Marino,
Here.
Commissioner Bernard,
Here.
Commissioner McKinley,
Here.
Commissioner Kerner,
Here.
Mayor Weinroth.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you very much. All right, I would like to ask Mr. Pelowitz to please lead us in our invocation and pledge of allegiance. Please rise.
We ask you, God, to bless this meeting of people who earnestly desire to do their work in the best possible way, to benefit those we serve, and to leave to our children a better world. Please give us the wisdom and vision to plan adequately and act correctly to achieve these ends. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right. Are there any additions, deletions, or substitutions, sir?
Yes, we do have item 5C has been revised to change the name of the financial report to Annual Comprehensive Financial Report. Item 9F1, we have two add-ons. One is 9F1, Amerigo Recycling Del Rey. The other is 9F2, Debris Dog Inc. Those are permits, and those will be under later in the agenda. And those are the revisions and additions.
Thank you very much. All right, I'll take a motion for the revised.
Move to adopt.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 6-0. All right, next up is going to be our consent agenda. Would anyone like to pull any items off consent?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I would like to pull item 5C just to give Mr. Dumars the opportunity to talk about the annual financial report.
Okay, would somebody like to make a motion on item 5C, or if there are any other items?
I'll make a motion that we pull 5C and approve the consent agenda as amended.
All right, and a
I'll
second?
second the motion to approve the agenda minus item 5C.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, that's also passes 6-1, or 6-0,
Mr. Vice
sorry.
Mayor, have we done the minutes, the approval of the minutes yet?
Sorry,
Item 3?
item 3 and 4. Okay, we'll circle back.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve the minutes, item 3A and B.
I have a motion by Commissioner Bernard on items 3A and B.
Second.
All in favor? All opposed? That item passes 6-0.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to receive and file item 4A and B. Second.
And I have a motion by Commissioner Bernard, a second by Mayor Weinroth on receive and file on items A and B. Any comments? Hearing none. All in favor? All opposed? That item passes 6-0. Okay, now, moving on to consent agenda, less item 5C. Are there any cards?
Move to
No.
approve.
And the consent agenda, I believe, has already been approved,
Okay.
No.
minus
we haven't.
5C.
So you're just back to item 5C, Mr. Chair.
I don't think we moved on the consent yet.
Yes, the consent agenda
We
was
moved
approved.
to,
Commissioner Marino, second by
I
Commissioner
thought that was
McKinley.
to,
Less
for the
item 5C.
revised. Okay, all right,
She's right.
all right, thank you.
You're on item 5C now.
Okay, well, item 5C then.
Go ahead, Paul.
Good morning, Commissioner Weiss and all of the other commissioners here this morning. It's a pleasure to see you all. I'm going to talk a little bit about the audit that we had completed. We're pleased to present the file present and file the authority's FY 2021 Annual Comprehensive Financial Report, which includes our annual unqualified audit opinion, and that's good. The FY 2021 financial results and positive variance to the budget in prior year. The results are of the following. Revenue, electric generation revenue is up $8 million compared to last year. Our tipping fees are up $5.1 million from prior year from the increased tonnage we received in FY 2021. The recycling income is up $7.5 million from last year, and much of that is of the variance driven by the ferrous revenue, which is up at $3.8 million year over year. The assessments are slightly down related to the prior year due to the lower adopted assessment rates for 2021. Debt service is down $26 million from last year due to the defeasance of the 2021 maturity of the authority's Series 2017 bonds. Highlights, FY21, the authority completed and installed its point-of-sale scale system replacement at the authority's 2 renewable energy facilities and 6 transfer stations. And finally, the authority will also submit this FY 2021 report to the Government Finance Officers Association, and that's our GFOA, as we refer in the finance world, for this year's award for consideration. The authority is also proud to announce that we are GFOA Triple Crown winners for the FY 2020 submission of our annual comprehensive financial report, of our new popular annual financial report, and our financial 2021 adopted budget and 5-year capital improvement program. All of these reports will be published on the SWA website. And with that, it's a very good, clean audit, and we're very proud. And I think we have a representative from the audit firm in the audience.
Great, great. Well, thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Dumars or the representative? No? We'll take a motion.
I will make a motion to approve item 5C and commend staff for their excellent work.
Thank you.
We have a motion and a second on item 5C. Any other comments? Hearing none. All in favor? All opposed? That item passes 6-0. Good. All right, moving on to item 6. Matters by the public. Do we have any cards on this?
No, sir.
No cards. All right. Moving on, we have there is no public hearing workshop. There is no old business. Moving on to new business. Item 9A1. This is the Citizens Advisory Committee appointments.
Yes, and we recently just had our CAC meeting. It is our understanding that all of the members who are currently members of the CAC wish to continue their service. We have one vacancy, and that is due to the resignation of Mr. Ralph Mosia, Commissioner Kerner's appointee for District 3. Mr. Mosia has been on the CAC for a neighborhood of 13 years. He's been a pleasure to work with throughout that time. He's helped us out through a lot of significant improvements here at the authority. He was here through the whole procurement and development of renewable energy facility number 2. And he volunteered to serve on a number of evaluation and selection committees for the authority, and we're going to miss Ralph I know we have a letter of commendation that I believe the chair is going to read, and I know that Commissioner Kerner has a presentation as well.
Very good. Let me go ahead and read this letter into the record, and then we can move on to Commissioner Kerner, and then we can take a motion. Dear Mr. Mosia, since being selected to serve on the SWA Citizens Advisory Committee in November of 2009, you have been a valuable asset to the governing board, the committee, and staff. Your advice and input have been invaluable to the Solid Waste Authority in helping us best serve the citizens of Palm Beach County. We recognize that membership on the Citizens Advisory Committee requires a significant dedication of personal time, which we greatly appreciate. On behalf of the governing board, the staff of the Solid Waste Authority, and our customers, I would like to express my sincere gratitude. Very truly yours. And Commissioner Kerner?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you on behalf of District 3 and Mr. Ralph Mosia for issuing that wonderful letter. We're delighted to have received it from you, and I know that it's very much heartfelt. I think I just wanted to take this opportunity because as members of the Board of County Commissioners and of this authority, one of the, I would say, biggest honors we have in our time in office is the ability to appoint our neighbors, people that we know, people that apply, constituents to various boards throughout these two units of government, and they serve in very important positions as a volunteer. And I know that I speak on behalf of this board when we say that we truly and critically value the input and the shaping of public policy that these various members and various boards do. And the subject matter is so broad that they were so lucky to have people serve. But we also know that there are people that serve for maybe a year or two that just kind of do their time, and that's fine. But then there are those that really step up and put their heart and soul into this volunteer position. And Ralph Mosia, as I had the honor of getting to know him better over the last 6 years in office, is one of those people. Every CAC meeting that I've watched or heard of or been briefed on by Dan or anybody else for that matter has always complimented and said highest regards and praise for Mr. Ralph Mosia. And he served 13 years on the Citizens Advisory Council. And during some of the most difficult and substantive times in terms of the direction of this authority, what types of technologies they wanted to bring in, he served on a variety of selection committees. And there's a lot of pressure, and there's a lot of information, and there's a lot on the line during those critical votes. So I wanted to just take an opportunity to, in addition, present Mr. Ralph Mosia. He's not here today, but we're going to make sure he gets this wonderful letter from our chairman, but also this certificate of commendation awarded to Ralph Mosia for his 13 years of service to the Solid Waste Authority of Palm Beach County on the Citizens Advisory Committee. It's presented this 9th day of February 2022. During his tenure on the Citizens Advisory Committee, Mr. Mosia has contributed to shaping the planning and direction of the Solid Waste Authority of Palm Beach County. He has provided sound options to the governing board regarding the legislative responsibilities of the Solid Waste Authority. As the appointee for District 3, Mr. Mosia has represented the residents of the district very well, and I hope you'll join me in giving him a round of applause.
Well, thank you, Commissioner Kerner. Very nicely and well done. And thank you again, Mr. Mosia, for your service to our community. With that, I will take a motion on item 9A1.
So moved. Move approval of item 9A1.
Commissioner McKinley moves approval of 9A1. And a second?
Second.
A second by Commissioner Marino. All opposed? That item passes 6-0. All right, moving on, item 9B, legal counsel. Anything?
None, thank you.
Okay. Item 9C1, lithium-ion EV batteries in the waste stream.
Good morning. Back at your, during your October meeting, Commissioner McKinley, Mayor Weinroth, and Vice Mayor Weiss, I believe, made inquiries about batteries and their fate in the waste stream, particularly EV batteries and device batteries. And so in response to that, we put together a brief presentation, which I've simply entitled Batteries. So I'm going to talk a little bit about battery usage and the growth of that, battery recycling, and then I also want to take a few minutes at the end of the presentation to talk about the electrification of the SWA fleet. This is something that we get quite a few questions on, and I thought maybe you might, so it was something that I wanted to throw in there. For the purposes of the presentation, I'm going to talk about, I've broken the batteries into three groups: lead-acid batteries, EV batteries, and device batteries. So first I'm going to talk a little bit about lead-acid batteries, and I threw these in because these are still by far and away the most widely used method for energy storage, whether it be for vehicle usage or for off-grid power storage. There's over 1 billion vehicles worldwide that have these in them. But for the first time in history, the use of lead-acid batteries is projected to plateau and start to decline in the coming years as a direct result of the EV car revolution and the use of lithium-ion rechargeable batteries. So good news, bad news regarding lead-acid batteries. Good old diehards. Many of you probably have these in your garage or have at one time. Obviously, lead is a toxic substance, and it needs to be handled carefully. But over the decades, a very comprehensive recycling infrastructure has been developed, and over 99% of lead-acid batteries are ultimately recycled to the tune of about 1.7 million tons annually. And that's done because lead-acid batteries can be repeatedly recycled without any loss in performance. Basically, the lead is smelted and they're reformed into new batteries. It's a fairly simple process. The good news for SWA is that the vast majority of these batteries are handled by service centers, car repair centers, dealerships, and we only see about 40 tons a year out of that 1.7 million. So it's a relatively small waste that we need to handle, and we actually make a few dollars. We make about $7,000 a year annually in selling those 40 tons to one of the designated end users. So lithium-ion device batteries is the next subject I'm going to talk about, and these are the ones that are at present are causing us the most concern. These batteries, these used to be just cell phones and computers, but in recent years, the use of these has exploded, and they are now in everything from computers, phones, toys, tools, appliances, even greeting cards, those little batteries that make the greeting cards sing. And the use of these things and the application just continues to explode. EV batteries, currently in use in about 10 million vehicles worldwide. And the really amazing thing is that these are expected to grow to 145 million by 2030. That's just 8 short years. And the question is, how do we get there? Well, the answer is it's not just Tesla anymore. All of the domestic OEMs, original equipment manufacturers, Ford, GM, et cetera, have committed to making significant numbers of their models EV or rechargeable battery. Also, the European manufacturers have made significant commitments in terms of EV manufacturing. So I wanted to talk a little bit about recycling. First, about device battery recycling. And this is part of why they are the device batteries in particular are such a concern. There's a very low recycling rate. Estimates are between 12 and 15%. Virtually no reuse. As with the lead-acid battery and the EV batteries, those do have some significant reuse, But with these, there really isn't any. As I'm sure some of you know, one of the big problems is when these get damaged, when they're put into the waste stream, they go through the collection vehicle, they go through the waste-to-energy facility, or maybe the recycling facility. What happens is if they get damaged in any way, they generate heat. And that heat oftentimes creates fire. And every year in the U.S., there's approximately 100 fires at MSW facilities that have been attributed to these. And even here at SWA, we've had several minor incidences. Just in the last year, we've had 3 incidences at the waste-to-energy facility and the recycling facility where we had minor fires that were attributed to these batteries. There's also been a couple of fires in collection vehicles that have been attributed to these. So it is a problem. We recycle approximately 13,000 pounds per year. So again, that's a relatively small amount compared to the current usage and the quickly growing usage of these. Our educational folks reach out and do a lot of education on this. The best thing to do with these is to get these to one of our home chemical and recycling centers that we have at all of our transfer stations and here at Jog Road. We put out all kinds of outreach, and I know that several of the board members have included that information in their newsletters, and we really appreciate that. We think that that does help reach as many people as possible. But that's really the solution to getting those things out of the waste stream and getting them handled properly. In terms of EV batteries, a little bit different situation. This is one of the areas where the EU is a little bit ahead of us in terms of regulation. They're busy developing producer responsibility laws that require the manufacturers to bring these things, to take them back. Here in the States, there's limited state law. About half the states out there have no laws at all in regard to EV batteries. There's no federal regulation in terms of producer responsibility. There are recycling laws in about 10 states, including Florida, have laws that require the manufacturers to provide an avenue for recycling, okay? So they're required to fund avenues of recycling, and they do that. And so here in Florida, the OEMs are primarily responsible for the EVs, and they do a good job of taking those back and getting those recycled. And we here at SWA have seen none, basically, in the last 3 years that I look back. We haven't seen any, and we don't expect to see too much, even as the use of them grows. So the useful life of these batteries is approximately 100,000 miles. Now I'm talking about regular passenger vehicle batteries now. In the battery world, they don't really look at it in terms of miles, they look at it in terms of charging cycles. And so when you use fast chargers and other things like that, you can reduce that life. But 100,000 miles is a typical lifespan. So it's not like these things are going to be hitting us all at once. It will be staggered over time, because that's 8 to 10 years of average driving for most people. Reuse is always the first and best option, and there is some reuse option here primarily in terms of off-grid power storage. So your hunting cabin in the woods, an off-grid vacation home, something like that, where battery banks can be used to provide power. When they do need to be recycled, there's 2 primary methods. One's called pyrometallurgy and the other is called hydrometallurgy. These are 2 methods that use heat and acid and water to basically break the components down into their parts so that the heavy metals that have some value can be recovered. The problem is that battery manufacturers, like in many industries early on, were not thinking about recycling when they were building these things. And so they're very, very difficult. They're typically welded together. They use industrial strength adhesives. So basically they have to be pulverized, melted, and then the metals are recovered. So it's a messy and expensive, energy-intensive process. But it can yield some valuable metals, cobalt, nickel, and some others. At present, the lithium is considered to be not valuable enough, and it's currently not recovered during that process. There are several other battery chemistries that are being developed. Sodium ion, you might have heard of, some of you might have heard of that. That is something that is in the early stages of development, but a lot of people think that it might be the solution, particularly for the device battery category, because it doesn't produce the heat when it's damaged. And they're also much better at operating in cold temperatures. Obviously not something we need to worry about too much here, but in other parts of the country, that's a big issue. Lithium chemistry does not do well in freezing temperatures. So, in summary on the batteries, the lead acid, widely used, widely recycled, good infrastructure in place. Device batteries, not so much. They are not widely recycled. They are problematic in terms of when they get into the waste stream, so we're working hard to keep them out of the waste stream. And then EV batteries, growing like crazy, but largely do not appear like they're going to be an issue that the SWA necessarily is going to have to deal with. It's being dealt with by the OEM and the manufacturers. There are several plants I didn't mention. There's one in Georgia, a major battery recycling plant in Georgia, and then another major one in Nevada next to the Tesla Gigafactory. They're building recycling plants right next to the battery plants. So those will be coming online, and they'll be dealing with the vast majority of this growth that we will be seeing. So with that, I wanted to take a couple of minutes just to talk about the electrification of the SWA fleet. So we are always on the lookout for state-of-the-art technology, whether it's tractor trailers or loaders or compactors. You know, we pride ourselves on really being, you know, on the cutting edge and knowing what's out there and adopting it when the time is right. Unfortunately, when it comes to the electric tractor trailers in particular, the time's not quite right, but it's getting there quickly. So just to give you a real brief overview of the scope of our operation, we have between 70 and 80 tractor trailers on the road on any given day. Over the course of a year, we do 67,000 trips that equate to about 3 million miles. So it's a sizable operation. We do all of the maintenance on those vehicles in-house at our facility here or at our facility down on Southwest County Transfer Station. We do think that obviously the passenger vehicle technology is good, and we probably will be acquiring a couple of passenger vehicles and adding those to our fleet in the coming year. And we've also looked at the future in terms of adding electrical vehicles. Some of you may remember a couple of months ago we did a presentation on the master planning efforts that we've been undergoing. And one of those scenarios included replacing the current equipment maintenance facility and using that area to put a new waste-to-energy facility or a new boiler. And so, you know, any new facility that we would plan and build, we would take into consideration the infrastructure necessary for charging and for maintenance. Charging, you know, it's a major issue. It's expensive. The infrastructure is expensive, and it's also, you know, typically done overnight. So you'd have to have room to charge 70 or 80 vehicles every day overnight. And so it's something that we definitely need to work into the plans longer term. So we have met with the major manufacturers of the tractor and trailer, the EVs, and they are just now starting to put out vehicles for commercial use. There's only a couple thousand on the road right now. One of the issues is that the capital cost, the upfront cost for these vehicles is about 2.5 times what a normal diesel unit is. Obviously, some of that can be made up with the lower operating costs associated with the fueling, but it's still a major hurdle at this point. The other major issue is the range. And, you know, unlike the passenger vehicles and some of the Teslas that have ranges of 400 miles plus, Because of the size and the weight and the payloads, the ranges on these vehicles is significantly less, estimated at about 200 miles. And for the routes that we run, that's just not sufficient at current. Also, the payload is reduced by the weight of the batteries. So we are taking out the diesel fuel, but we're replacing with batteries, and so those are even heavier than the fuel. So we would actually lose about 1,000 to 3,000 tons of payload per load. And over time, that would be significant. That would add up. And then, as I mentioned, the significant infrastructure cost associated with charging technology and maintenance. And the last one here is the lack of PTO. Some of you may know what the PTO stands for power takeoff. And it's very common on today's tractors, and it is what we use to operate the walking floors in the trailers to offload the garbage. And none of the current models have this or have any plans to include this. So that's a deal breaker for us in the short term, but the manufacturers have said that they're gonna take that into consideration, and I would expect to see it in future applications. And with that, I'll be happy to take any questions that you may have.
Thank you very much, Mr. Carroll. Commissioner McKinley?
Yeah, thank you. This was very helpful. Just a quick question. The payload issue with the weight of the batteries, is that a federal regulation that could be changed, or is that a state regulation?
It's a federal regulation, the total weight that we're limited by. It's a DOT, but it is, I think, a federal regulation, yes.
So if we wanted to advocate to encourage the use of electric vehicles, to try to advocate to change that regulation to exclude, if we can certify the weight of the battery to exclude that weight from the payload, is that something you'd be interested in working on?
Sure, absolutely, yeah.
Thank you. And this was great. I appreciate it.
Anyone else with questions, comments? Thank you very much, Mr. Carroll. I have to say, last week I was reading an article on the sodium-ion batteries and the progress is being made with them. And my understanding as well is that the recharging capabilities of those batteries is far superior to the lithium-ion, so that they're able to, they were talking about 80% recharges in like 30 minutes or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's a lot of development going on. So this is moving very, very quickly.
Very quickly, and I read up on as much information on those. They're in the development stage, but most of the information that I was able to look at said that, in the coming years, that would probably be the preferred technology or the preferred battery chemistry.
Right, and obviously the lack of heavy metals make them
Right, and sodium is plentiful.
very
obviously,
plentiful. Right,
so-
we can just go out to the ocean and.
Right.
All right, very good. All right, hearing nothing else. All right, well, thank you very much, Mr. Carroll. All right, Customer Information Services, Mr. Archambault, do you have any updates?
None, thank you.
All right, sir, thank you very much. And Mr. Akari, Engineering and Construction Services.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the board. Item 91 is for the sale of recovered materials from our recycling facility. Just a little bit of background on this thing. In April 2019, the board approved an agreement with KC International for KC to purchase mixed paper from the authority. The agreement was for an initial term of 1 year with 2 additional 1-year renewals. And we're coming up on the expiration date of that one. It's April 30th of 2022. And so we're proposing a new agreement with KC for them to purchase mixed paper and also a new item, which is cardboard. Similar to the previous agreement, we have an initial term of 1 year with 2 1-year renewals. So this is a pricing chart, for the past few years. This shows how pricing has been for mixed paper. The blue line that you see is where the price was. It was almost zero when we signed the agreement, but we still had a floor price of $20 per ton, which they paid us. And market conditions have improved, and now, it breached $100, and now on a slightly downward trend. So the red lines you see, the dashed lines, are the floor price for the current agreement and the ceiling price, which is $20.55. And what we are proposing is a new floor price of $10 per ton, but with a premium of $7.50. You know, the current agreement has a discount, but this one has a premium. And the ceiling is $100 per ton. For cardboard, this is a new material we're going to be adding to the agreement. We don't have it right now in the current agreement. So this would have a floor price of $50 and a ceiling of $250 per ton. These are mixed paper tonnages over the past 3 years, and the revenues, as you can see, the tonnages are increasing, and the revenues have increased like 2-3 times. This is for mixed paper. And the same trend for cardboard. The tons have been increasing, and we more than doubled our revenues since 2019. So the budget impact is positive here. We're expecting a revenue increase of $199,000 for the 5 months, you know, that this agreement would be in effect for this current fiscal year, and the same trend for next year. With that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
All right. Does anybody have any questions? Do we have any cards on this item? No. All right. With that, I'll take a motion on item 9E1.
Move approval of item 9E1.
Commissioner McKinley moves approval. And a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Marino. All in favor? All opposed? That item passes 6-0. Thank you very much, sir. Moving on to our, we have a couple of add-on items, 9F1 and 9F2.
Ms. Morrison is not here today, so I'll be presenting those 2 items, 9F1 and 9F2.
Thank you.
9F1 is the administrative revisions to the operations permit for Amerigro Recycling Delray. They're being acquired by McGill, another big firm. So this site is located in West Delray, just west of 441 and off of Atlantic. And the background for this facility, it's about 30 acres located in Delray, and the permit was first issued in 1991 to a different owner, and then the current ownership took over in 1995, and they've been operating the site. And the most recent permit renewal was done administratively last year for a period of 3 years. So that expires in June 2024. And our staff did an inspection back in December, about 6 weeks ago, and found everything to be okay. And there were no issues. So the facility is also in compliance with the health department permits, fire department, code enforcement, and DEP permits. So we're recommending an administrative approval for this.
All right. Any questions? Seeing none? No cards? All right, thank you. With that, take a motion on item 9F1.
I'll make a motion, we approve item 9F1.
All right, Commissioner Marino has made a motion to approve 9F1, and second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Bernard. All in favor? All opposed? That item passes 6-0. Good. And now item 9F2.
Yes, item 9F2 is a new operations permit for Debris Dog Inc. This site is located off of Beeline, right across from Pratt & Whitney. It's a 10-acre site. So they have obtained permits from Palm Beach County Zoning, Fire Rescue, Code Enforcement, and Health Department, DEP, and the Water Management District. So we recommend a 1-year permit for this facility.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Seeing none, I'll take, no cards? Okay. Take a motion on this item.
I'll make a motion, we approve item F2.
Commissioner Marino has made a motion to approve item 9F2, and second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Bernard. Thank you. All right, all in favor? All opposed? That item passes 6-0. Great. All right. Now moving on to item 9G1, Small Business Advisory Committee appointments.
Colleen's coming up. Yes, Ms. Colleen Robbs is the Director of Equal Business Opportunity Program, and she'll be presenting this.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and the governing board members. This item, we are respectfully requesting that you approve and appoint members to the Small Business Advisory Committee for the upcoming year. We support the advisory committee, share information with them that they share with the business community on what SWA is doing to help small businesses access contract opportunities with us. And so the memo gives the current list of members of ASPAC, and again, staff is requesting appointments for the upcoming year.
Great, thank you. Is there any questions? Seeing none.
Move to appoint.
Mayor Weinroth has moved to approve.
Mr. Chairman, I'll go ahead and second that motion if the maker of the motion is Patricia Leon Aggio, who is my appointee in District 6, has indicated she can no longer serve. So that spot, just a slight amendment, needs to read vacant for now until I can make an appointment.
And I will embrace that amendment.
Okay, well, thank you. All right, so we have an amended motion and a second. All in favor? All opposed? That passes unanimous. Oh, sorry. Commissioner Kerner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I'm happy to vote in favor of the amended motion and support all the appointees. I did want to mention that the District 3 appointee, Michelle DePotter from Associated General Contractors, is here today. She served on this very important committee for a period of time and as the chairwoman as well, so we wanted to thank you for your service and congratulate you on your reappointment. And if you had any comments on the work of the committee, I'm sure Chairman Weiss would allow you to make any comments, I hope.
I would, of course.
I think she has a perfect attendance record as well.
I'm a high achiever. I didn't plan on saying anything today, but we all know I'm never short on words. So thank you, Chair Weiss and Vice Mayor now, and Mayor Weinroth and all of you all for not only approving my appointment, but the advisory committee as it was presented to you. You know, I hope that you'll find the humor in this. Much like contracting and procurement, being willing, able, and qualified is generally going to provide you with success. And that's what we have on our advisory board. We've got a great advisory board now, and everybody that's in those seats truly has all those components accompanying them. And we truly want to do good there, and we want to push out the opportunity for SMWBEs into our community. But we don't do it alone, so I would like to recognize the good work of the SWA team, which I frequently do. Colleen, Mr. Dumar, Hattie, for keeping us on track, and your great smile and personality that you provide us to motivate us at each meeting. Kendrick, Mr. Thompson, Caitlin, who's new to the team, and Phil, I see you back there, Mr. Muscavera, who always assures that we're operating with ethics in the way that we should be. So that's really all I have to say. I think I didn't get this report because we'd moved our offices, many of you know, about 6 months ago. But I think if you look at here and you look at these numbers, you see that the team has achieved some success, and that's what we've hoped for. So again, thank you all. That's all I have to say. I hope you have a good rest of the day today. Thanks.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you for your service and the other members of that board. So much appreciated. All right. So with that, item 10, other scheduled matters. I don't think we have.
Oh, yeah, you need to call the vote.
Oh, I'm sorry. All those in, with the amended motion, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That passes 6-0. All right, moving on. There's nothing on other scheduled matters, so comments by our general counsel?
Still none, thank you.
Okay. And by the authority staff?
Well, I would just like to first thank you all for coming today and helping us through this day. We always appreciate your time. Second, I would like to go back to and commend our finance staff for the clean audit and the way they came through it. This last month has been a little more challenging than most people know. in the middle of the Omicron variant rising. We had an audit that we had to complete in a fairly short time period. What most of you don't know is the provider of our time card system had a ransomware attack. And so for the past month or so, we've been doing, we did manual payroll for the first time in about, 15 years. And so that was a challenge that happened at the same time. Everything is back. We've got all our data back. No authority data has been compromised, but it was just a challenge going back to manual time cards from having an automated system for so long. So all of that was going on at the same time, and so I really do commend their efforts in getting that done. And I'd also like to thank all of the staff for the solid financial year we had. It was a challenging year with COVID. We went into it not knowing exactly where we were going to end up, but we had a very positive financial performance during the past year, and came in well under budget, and revenues exceeded budget, and so it was really a very good, solid financial year for the authority. And so I thank all of staff, and I thank you as well for having trust in us to perform in that way. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pelowitz. All right, moving on to comments by the board. We'll start to my left. Commissioner Bernard,
No comments, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Kermer,
No comments, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Commissioner McKinley,
After driving all night and arriving home from Tallahassee at midnight last night, just happy to be here. And, we've already recognized the finance team. I'd like to really thank you, Patrick, for the presentation on the batteries, and hope that you can get a digital copy of that to all of us. And once again, John and your customer service team, again and again, you exceed my expectations. So thank you for your work.
thank you. And Mayor Weinroth,
I am commentless.
okay, and Commissioner Marino.
No comments at this time, thank you.
Okay, and then on behalf of myself, first off, I want to thank you all for allowing me the opportunity to chair this meeting. I thank my colleagues for your assistance this morning and helping me get through this new position. And also want to send a shout out to our colleague, Commissioner Sachs, who is not with us today. She's in California, I think anxiously awaiting the birth of her second grandson. So wish her and her family all the best with the new baby. And with that, seeing nothing else, I will adjourn this meeting. Thank you.